Week 6 of the fantasy football season. Here's the top 12 defense DST units. I'm ranking this week number 1, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know the Steelers defense has been up and down over the last couple of weeks, but this week a great matchup at the Vegas Raiders. Their offense just can't move the football. Connell, this game, we know Devontae Adams putting this to be traded any day now, or he'll just be out with a hamstring injury until they trade him. So Pittsburgh with TJ Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, Hayward on this defense. They get to the quarterback early and often. Last week they caused a few turnovers, even though they lost versus the Dallas Cowboys. And this week at Vegas, I think they have a good game once again. Number 2, the Denver Broncos. This Bronco DST, one of the best in the league. 15 sacks in the last 3 weeks. A pick 6 by Surtain for 100 yards last week. And this week a good matchup versus the Los Angeles Chargers, where they can't move the football well. And they were only scoring in the mid-teens, low 20s at best. So Denver, great defense this season, creating turnovers, getting to the quarterback. And once again, where they don't have great weapons is this Charger team. I think Denver, in a division matchup, plays good this week. Number 3, Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles defense hasn't been good this season besides the one Week 3 game at the New Orleans Saints. But they're versing a banged up and a bad Cleveland Brown team this season that just can't move the football. And Deshaun Watson, he looks like he's done, unfortunately. His best days are behind him, and he's been taking big hits and turning the football over a whole lot. So it was a 1-week streaming option, and coming off a bye week in a home game, I think Philadelphia is in a good spot, their defense this week. Number 4, the Houston Texans. Texans have a great matchup. Drake May is going to make his NFL debut versus Houston Texan defense, and they don't have a lot of weapons on the outside. The Mario Douglas, Jalen Polk, the top targets for this New England Patriot team. Maybe Drake May could at least get the football down the field and get it to his wide receivers, unlike Jacoby Brissett, who was more of a game manager and short and underneath routes he was throwing a lot. So this week I think the Texans, they could get to the rookie a few times. I believe they'll cause a few turnovers. They're off to an early start, and a nice lead is this Houston Texan team. They're going to make New England one-dimensional, and that's where mistakes really could kick in for the rookie May, and they could create a few turnovers. Number 5, the Chicago Bears. This bad DST, one of the best defenses in the league in terms of points per game. And they're getting to the quarterback and creating turnovers. And this week, a good matchup versus Jaguars. I know Jacksonville went out there last week and put up a big performance, 37 points, with Trevor Lawrence going for 371 in that ball game and 2 touchdowns, and Tank Bigsby 101 yards and 2 TDs. But this bad defense, they're shutting down offenses for the most part the last couple weeks. Los Angeles came to Soldier Field. They shut them down to field goals the majority of that game. And then last week, the Panthers, where their offense was hitting on all cylinders the previous 2 weeks, they shut them down in that one as well. So this week, a matchup in London versus Jacksonville. I think Chicago goes out there once again, has a good performance. Number 6, the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers defense has been their strong point this season, where the offense, they haven't put up a lot of points. So this week at Denver, it's going to be a division matchup of the AFC West teams. And I believe it's going to be a defensive matchup as well, where Khalil Mack, he could get to Bo Nix. Bo Nix hasn't played that well. The running game hasn't been that great besides last week versus the Raiders. Javonte Williams, Jaleel McLaughlin. So I think Los Angeles could go out there coming off the bye week, getting a little bit healthier, and they know they need this ball game in the division if they just want to stick around in the wild card race, because we know Kansas City already 5-0 this season, but Los Angeles, they've been a good unit this year. Number 7, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Tampa Bay, they had a good start. I know last week they got torched by Kirk Cousins and that Atlanta Falcon offense, but this Tampa Bay defense, they got to go back to the basics, and it's a good matchup this week. Now with Derek Carr out of the lineup, Spencer Rattler, to be honest, I don't have Tampa Bay could make it uncomfortable to get pressure on him, and I believe this could be like a Miami Dolphins situation. It didn't matter if it was Skylar Thompson or Tyler Huntley. The football wasn't moving down the field, and everyone's numbers on the offense went down. To leave Tampa Bay as a 1-week streaming option, could go out there, have a good game. Number 8, the Green Bay Packers. This pack at DST, one of the best in the league in terms of creating turnovers, getting to the quarterback. And this week, they're versing a good offense, no doubt about it. Kyler Murray, James Conner, Marvin Harrison, Trey McBride. But Kyler Murray, we know he's good for a few turnovers, and we've seen a lot on the road this season so far. Arizona, their offense doesn't do much. I know last week a nice come-from-behind victory, 24-23 in that one at the San Francisco 49ers. But I believe Green Bay is going to create some turnovers, and they get 2 or 3 minimum per week so far this season. Number 9, Buffalo Bills, Monday Night Football at the New York Jets. Jets got rid of Robert Saleh, even though I don't think the offense is going to change much at all for this New York Jet team. Garrett Wilson last week, 22 targets, had 13 catches in that ball game. What a game it was for him. But Buffalo, they're coming off a bad loss at Houston. I think this defense, they're going to get right a little bit in this ball game. And Aaron Rodgers as well isn't 100%, where his knee's giving him a problem. And I'm surprised he even finished that ball game last week in London versus the Minnesota Vikings. So with all those factors and this Jet offense not running the football effectively as well, I think Buffalo on Monday night's in a decent spot. Number 10, the San Francisco 49ers. So their defense has had a lot of lapses this season, blowing 2 leads late in ball games this season. 3 at the Rams, they blew that game. They were up. Majority of it lost at the end. And then last week, they were controlling it 23-13 versus the Cardinals. And then in the fourth quarter, their defense couldn't make the stops when they needed it. So this week, a matchup at Seattle. Good offense. Geno Smith's been playing pretty well this season. Kenneth Walker, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Tyler Lockett. So good weapons. And we know Thursday nights are usually high-scoring games. So I think San Francisco this week in this spot, it's not a great spot on this week, on the short week with those Thursday games being high scoring, and they're versing a good offense that's familiar with the defense. Number 11, the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons DST is a 1 week stream in use at the Carolina Panthers. I know the Panthers, the last 2 out of 3 weeks, they're playing good football. Chuba Hubbard has been one of the best running backs in the league in that time. But I believe Atlanta Falcons, now that their offense is getting things going and looking comfortable last week, I think their defense is going to take the next step. And it's going to Carolina, where indoors it's tougher to play defense on the fast track, where the offenses usually have the advantage. So this week going to Carolina, and obviously it's not an indoor stadium, I believe they could create a few turnovers on Andy Dalton. And if you get a hand on Dalton, you know he's going down for the sack. And the 12th and final defense DST I'm ranking this week is the Indianapolis Colts. There's a 1 week streaming option. It's a good matchup at the Tennessee Titans. We'll see if it's going to be Will Levis or Mason Rudolph. And pretty much Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins haven't done much this season, where Tony Pollard's been the main threat in this offense. So like I said, Indianapolis, their defense has been horrible all season long. But we know this Tennessee offense has been horrible as well. So in a division matchup, I think something gives in this one. And Indianapolis could be a decent back-end option this week. So that's a top 12 defense DST units I'm ranking for week 6 of the fantasy football season.